When writing an introduction paragraph for a history paper, there's kind of four overall things, just whatever topic it is, that you kind of should include. The first thing being always need to attract the attention of the reader. Many of you will say, well, it's a history paper. How do I do that? Exact same as what you guys have learned in literacy class, and there's different hooks that you can use that you can use in a history paper. You need to convince the reader that he or she needs to read what the author has to say. For me, the biggest thing is connecting it to today's society in some way. How is it important? Why is it meaningful? Why should I continue to read on? That's what the reader needs to understand. Connect it to something that is important today, or a big issue that at least was important that we need to learn about. You need to give a historical overview. So this is it's going to not only provide introduction to the topic that you're going to talk about, but it's going to give the reader necessary background that you won't need to explain later in your paper. You are writing this introduction for someone who doesn't know anything about Hamilton or Jefferson and the Federalist and Republican parties. So you can't include every little detail, but you can include information that is going to help them, and it's going to actually help you because you won't have to include it later in your paper. And then finally, the last thing that you must have is at the very end of your introduction, you are going to have your thesis that you have already come up with. Now, when writing an introduction paragraph for a history paper, there's a couple things that you should never include. One of them being is this statement: the purpose of this paper is, or this paper is about. Never ever include that information. First person, okay? What they mean by first person is pronouns like I, me, we. That should not be included at all in a history paper. So you should never say, I will argue that. Okay, you have to change it around. The language cannot be in first person. I get this all the time, questions. I get like 5 questions in an introduction paragraph. You should not have too many questions. Maximum maybe 1. I'm still kind of like very iffy on questions in your introduction because I know when you get into later writing like college and beyond, the professors that I had did not like questions in there. So I would really venture to find another way. You should never ever have more than 1 question, and really a question should be your last option. And then never include dictionary definitions. So for this paper, you don't want to give me the dictionary definition of a Federalist or a Republican, or any word for that matter. Dictionary definitions should not be included in your introduction. So to kind of help you form a little of idea what needs to be included in this paper's introduction, I'm going to give you 5 things that you should have in it. The first one being Washington's farewell address. This is a good lead into the paper because he gives us that warning about the political parties. So some way you have to interweave the Washington's farewell address in there. That information, if you forget what that is or need more information on it, that's going to be in section 3 of your textbook and Washington's presidency flipped video. Second thing you need to include, the formation of political parties. How in the heck did that happen? Give us a little background information on that, since our paper is about 2 political parties. The background information needs to be surrounded around just why did they form in the first place. Information in sections 1 through 3 of the textbook and Washington's presidency's flip video will give you that information. Third thing you need to do is don't need to be too descriptive on this, but some personal background about Hamilton, Alexander Hamilton, as it relates to your paper topic, because he is going to be the face of the Federalist Party, someone you will be discussing in your paper, so it will help you to have information on that. That'll be in section 4 of your textbook. Fourth thing you need to have in your paper is background about Jefferson. Same reason, doesn't need to be a ton of information, but background information needs to be included that is important towards your paper. Once again, Jefferson is going to be the face of the Republican Party. You will be discussing him in your paper, so having just a little background information on that in your introduction is going to help the reader understand your paper more. And that's going to be in section 4 of the textbook. And then finally, your thesis statement that you have already created needs to be the last sentence. This is your roadmap for the paper. This gives me your beliefs. You should not have those beliefs secret. Let me know, and so I will have a direct purpose in your paper. Alright, you can get started now. Please follow the next set of directions.